This is the second part of the Thranduil costume from the Hobbit movies. A bit more of an undertaking than I had initially planned for, which is silly because I had planned for it to be a pretty big undertaking. First of all, this is not the first time that I have done this particular costume piece. I didn't get very many pictures. I think if I can find them, I'll go ahead and put them in right here. I'm going to do this to the best of my ability. I am having to remake the pattern and everything with that. I would like to get this done for Halloween so I can wear it out and about. My mistake in the last video helps me out for this one, so I think that's pretty cool, I guess. Let's get to it. Thing that I will be kind of mutilating and making into the pattern that I will be using for this kind of, I don't know, doublet jacket type thing. I found a couple. There are several out there that are shirt dresses, like button-up collared shirt dresses. It's like a maxi dress. So I will be changing some things. I will be lengthening the sleeves because of course I will. The pattern that I am using has a folded down collar. So instead of having a fold down collar, I'm gonna do a bit of a standing collar. Instead of buttons, I'll go ahead and have... My first thought is instead of doing buttons, I want to do clasps, like a bunch of the tiny little clasps, like the hooks and bars. But at the same time, I don't really want to do that because that takes so much more time, and I feel like I don't ever do it properly. It's gonna be fine. I did this once already, seven or so years ago. I just didn't record it and put it online, so hopefully it doesn't turn out to be terrible. Roughly what I want it to look like, and it is rough. So I started thinking maybe I wanted some of these like smaller paneling. That would be a lot more work, and after again consulting the reference images, because I ended up going with a thicker, fewer panels. Ended up with this roughly, but I think it might make a little bit more sense to start on a smaller number and get a little bit bigger each time. I don't know if I like that. That was the first time I said that out loud, so there's a chance that saying it out loud and then kind of thinking about it some more was enough to get me to be like, nah, I don't think I want to do that. 3-ish inches a piece with a bit of seam allowance. That would actually, that might be perfect on the other side. So I have that for the front. This is what I'm thinking of for the front. The belt will not be there. The sleeves will be full-length sleeves. It doesn't look like they have paneling. And then the back is a little bit more complicated. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of set up the material so these two pieces can become one piece. So I'm going to go ahead and have this like so, and then this is going to come down. What we're going to work on is the actual pattern, the actual paper pattern, drawing the design on there, and then work on cutting out all of the paper pieces. I was trying to describe my idea of a pattern last time, and I think I failed horribly. I can't remember exactly what I did with this jacket the last time I made it, but I'm just really glad I haven't started yet because my ideas keep changing. I will just be doing straight up like, this is a panel piece, this is a panel piece, this is a panel piece. Just about, maybe just below my natural waist is where I'm going to start with the panels actually extending. They'll meet here for so long until I get to my natural waist, or like maybe just a little bit below, but they'll go down and they'll keep meeting, and then until they get to where the angle would make, we'll start with the panels going like that until it hits that point, in which case, like here, it'll go down, but instead of just hitting each other right there, it'll go like this, and then it'll panel down. I am going to spend less time worrying about making sure that you can't see how I'm closing my outfit, and more time worrying about just making sure it looks good. Here is that light silvery color fabric. This is 4 yards, so it should be enough, especially considering that I also want to like do a train. I'm very quickly losing confidence that this is enough because it doesn't look like enough. If nothing else, than to like cut out all of the paper pieces, all of the pattern pieces, to start working on the actual material of it tomorrow. So here is the kind of sketched up pattern I will be using as a reference. So I'm going to go ahead and draw on the fixes, the changes that I will be making. This is probably going to be some facing. It would probably be best if the fabric had some type of texture to it. A lot of the reference pictures I'm looking at have lots of texture, and mine is going to be so two-dimensional in comparison. That's probably one of the main factors. It looks really cool, and I need dimensionality in the reason that I got the iridescent lining that I did, because it needs something. At the same time, getting like looking at jacquards or brocades or really anything that has that bit of embroidery, bit of texture to it, looking at any of that has like dragons seems slightly disrespectful. So I'm gonna try and steer away from that. This is just an example of how I put together the bodice portion, the front part. I haven't put it together, I just kind of marked out the pieces in what order they're going. I added a little bit of seam allowance. It turns out that the paper pattern I was going off of already had seam allowance in it, so I didn't do very much on the sides. I did cut a whole chunk off of both sides of the bodice part because the initial pattern was meant to have 2 plackets, like one overlapping the other for buttons, so it was supposed to be a button up. That's not what this is going to do. I have created a lot more work for myself, so that's what I have to do now. Be smarter than me. Let my mistake be your learned lesson. I have most of the pieces all cut out, but I ran out of material. I ran out of fabric, so I had to buy more. So instead of the 4 yards being plenty, it's probably okay to get 5 yards of the fabric. 4 yards I thought would be plenty, but I didn't put it all on the fabric at the same time. I kind of, used the pattern pieces as I created them, so there's a really good chance if I would have put it all down at once and marked and cut everything all out at once, I would have just about enough. I think if you got a continuous 5 yards, you should be good. Even better if your original material had been wider. But the one that I ended up getting entirely by accident was like 40 to 45 inches, and I almost always recommend that you get the wider one. I guess I'm probably not the right person to talk about this. And my hope is that I am able to finish this by then. This was something I was kind of afraid of happening. My needle, the needle in my sewing machine, I forgot to change it out until a little bit later. I'd already started doing a couple of these panels, and you can see that it caused some runs in here. I did get through these top ones, and then I changed it to a brand new needle. This is probably saying that the needle that I was using initially was either too thick or it was too dull. And so I just went ahead and replaced it with one of the needles that was like one of my lightest weight needles. Depending on what sewing machine you use, I have been told that there are a couple of different ways that you can gauge when you should change your needle. One of them is that you should change your needle every new project that you do, and I do a lot of my projects at the same time, so I don't think that would work. And another way that, and this is what my mom told me, roughly every 8 hours. And that's 8 hours that you've been working on a thing. So 8 hours of running fabric through your machine. It's great advice. I don't follow it, like, ever. Do as I say, not as I do, I guess. First panel. This is the neck hole. And so there's so many more layers I have to do, and each one progressively gets longer and longer, and I have several that are going to curve so that the center part right here, it kind of curves over the hips like that. I'm still trying to decide as far as the facings go, because I do have interfacing, but I want to do interfacing and facings, but I don't want to do a full lining. But I'm trying to decide if I want to go with this darker color, this darker gray as the facing part, or if I want to, because I do still have some of that rust color that I used to elongate part of the cape cloak thingy that I did. And I'm trying to decide which one would be better. In other places, it is not big enough. But yeah, I have the front and the back done. Now I just need to attach them together. I've changed my mind again. I'm just gonna go ahead and take out one of those panels because it's a lot longer in the front than it is in the back. There's like 3 or 4 just straight ones before it starts curving down into the middle. So I'm gonna take out one of those. It would be so easy to add pockets right now that it would almost be silly if I didn't. But I might end up adding pockets, which is not accurate to the original costume, as far as I'm aware. I have the pockets in, I have the sides all sewn up, and now I just need to do the facings and the collar. I hate this so much. I did make a mistake. You remember when I held up the back piece and I was like, oh, this is entirely too big. I need to cut it down. Ooh, wouldn't it be great if I cut it down before I sewed it together, pinned it together, and sewed it together? It's too small. Okay. It's not terrible. Right now, it's not terrible. Okay. Why is this giving more sci-fi than fantasy? Just seeing this part, I think it looks cool. I think it looks pretty cool. It is not screaming Elf King, who is thousands of years old, but I think it looks pretty cool. If I wear a short sleeve shirt, the sleeves are, you would definitely be able to tell. And me doing that just there was so that you could actually see. Without doing that, this is as far as I can go. I'm going to go ahead and do the facings and see how I feel about adding a collar, because I might not. I also put in pockets. I like these pockets. I don't think I like how high up I placed them. I like the little pop of rust color that you can see popping out. I kind of hope Lee Pace is jealous that I thought to put pockets in. And he didn't have pockets. You know what? All things considered, I don't know if he had pockets. I don't know if it mattered if he had pockets. It matters to me, though. It's the principle of the matter. I was taking long enough as it was. I'm gonna have some fucking pockets, okay? I wanted it to be much longer. I'm getting there. I do also have a little bit of the rust color here, and you can tell the little bit of an accent. It does need something more, because yes, it is shiny, but it feels very flat. Is that the word I'm looking for? I think that's the word I'm looking for. Okay. So, perfect example about what I was saying before about wearing short sleeves with this. I'm trying to match these up as best I can because I want it to, what is that, chevron down. I haven't found the perfect solution for the closures, but I found something that'll do for now. They are hooks and bars, and this is not what I used last time. What I used last time was just hook and eyes, and that was annoying enough as it was, just trying to make sure that they clasped together. But these are the same clasps that I used for my Shadow and Bone kefta. I used these, but in black. It's a little bar and a hook, and I'll tell you right now, I have not gotten better at attaching these. I cannot breathe. All right. So I'm not doing one at the very top because that's ridiculous. And this is the last thing I'm gonna do before it is complete. This would have so much more of an impact if I had the crown. And like I said, I feel like this would make so much more of an impact if I had the crown. It's done. Before I get too tangled up in everything and fall over, I'm very happy that this is complete. I had some of the jewelry that from my previous time doing this costume. The things that I liked is that I feel very elegant in this. I feel very I feel like I need more room to just strut around. I feel very elegant. See, that's one thing. I like doing these elf looks, but I can't really wear my ears anymore because I have a bunch of earrings that get caught on the metal. I like the little pops of color, even though I'm not really a big fan of orange. I like the rust color that I have popping out in certain places. I really like this iridescent. I kind of wish I had bought more of this so that I could have lined the jacket with that iridescent. Things I would change. The type of material I use to this, because I have the pattern going and I think it looks good and it looks fine and everything, but it's also kind of boring. It's kind of flat, even with all of the paneling going on. It feels very one-dimensional. It feels like it doesn't have the texture that I'm looking for. Just can't give hugs or anything. High fives, definitely. High fives. Anyway, that is it. This is the costume. This is it complete. I don't think I will be trying to do this again anytime soon. I may do it again in the future, but I'm going to hold off for a bit at least so that I can do other things. I know it's taken me a while to get this out, but I hope you have enjoyed what I've done with this. Not quite sure what my next video is going to be, but I hope you tune in for that. And in the meantime, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye!